Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Stephanie Roothouse. I'm the Director of Customer Marketing and Communications here at Replicon. I'm joined today by my colleague Kishore Prasad, the Team Lead for Solutions Engineering. And we'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us on this webinar for getting more out of Replicon Professional Services Management. First, we'd just like to go over some housekeeping. If we can go to the next slide. You are on mute and you will be on mute during the presentation. There will be a Q&A taking place at the end of the webinar, and you can submit your questions for the Q&A through that text box located on the right-hand side of your screen at any time. And then if there's any other issues or concerns that you have and you need to chat with the moderator, feel free to use that chat function. So I know most of you are customers of Replicon, but I did want to still give you a high-level overview of Replicon in case you haven't spoken with us in a while. We are the leader in cloud time tracking applications. Our solutions are used by millions to manage all types of time tracking needs, such as workforce attendance, projects, programs, professional services organizations, and shared services resources. So as a customer, you are in great company. We have close to 8,000 customers at Replicon, such as Facebook, Xerox, Moody's, and GeoDigital, just to name a few. So on the next slide, our customers are using Replicon because they're actually getting real tangible benefits. These benefits generally fall into the following three categories. The first is greater insight. Human capital does represent about 70% of a company's expenses on average, and having insight into how employees are spending their time, what projects they're working on, really helps take sort of time tracking to that next level to understand how the workforce is performing. The second is lowering compliance risk, whether it's compliance for labor regulations or for project-based businesses. Replicon enables organizations to have all types of information that businesses need to defend audits. And the final one is optimized processes. So moving from manual to automated really allows organizations to do more things faster with fewer resources and focus on activities that are really more strategic to their business. Replicon delivers all these capabilities through four unique differentiators. So the first one we consider unique is our 100% cloud-based solution. So there's no hassles of maintenance, and most importantly, features are delivered continually with new updates that allow you to focus really on your business and not running software. The second one is the fact that Replicon is one platform. So we offer time tracking across many, many different functions in an organization. Third is the usability. So Replicon is really easy to use and allows for high end user adoption. And finally, Replicon's no-hassle commitment really ensures you're running smoothly and by providing 24/7 customer support and also a dedicated customer success specialist for technical issues. So next slide, Replicon really addresses the following four market use cases. The first is professional services management that helps professional services organizations capture billable time, keep track of projects, and manage resources. This really helps ensure fast and accurate billing. The second one is project and program management, which is also project-based time tracking, but doesn't include that billing and client management aspect. So this is for organizations that really need to focus on tracking time for internal projects, such as development projects to drive efficiencies or capital expenses for tax purposes. The next one is shared services management. This is for larger organizations that have centralized functions such as IT or marketing departments that provide services to other internal departments that actually serve as a shared resources. Often they need to track how much time they're spending on each of their internal clients, but also not only for reporting, but also to potentially do chargebacks. And the last one is time and attendance management, which is not project-centric time tracking, but it's time tracking focused on helping drive payroll and managing things like calculating overtime, ensuring labor regulatory compliance such as meal breaks and managed absences. So the focus today is professional services management and how you can get more out of Replicon Professional Services Management. So if we go to the next slide, what we wanted to do is just, if we may, we'd like to start with a poll question. And if you would, please do let us know, how do you track employee utilization today? So we have a couple options for you on the right-hand side. If you could just select the one that is most appropriate to you, we'd appreciate it. The first one is Replicon Web Resource. Is that how you're tracking employee utilization today? The second is homegrown. The third is Excel. The fourth is a package system. The fifth is an honor system, and we also have other as an option. So Kishore, I think we're getting some votes in here. What are you estimating we'll see as the front runners?
My gut feeling for the first one, based on the experience and interactions that I have with customers, I think it's the Excel, and then maybe that would be a runner-up. Followed by that would be other, which could be something like Microsoft Project Tools.
Okay. So let's see, we're coming close to ending the poll here, and it's looking like the majority is coming in at, actually there's a tie. Interesting, there's a tie this time. So there's a tie between Replicon Web Resources and Excel. So it looks like 23% each for those two, and other was a little smaller this time, Kishore, it was 3%. So it's really interesting. Okay, great. So we'll take those data points and certainly use those as we continue the discussion today. The next slide, we'll want to just set the context as we get ourselves ready to dive in. The first, this is really just a data point that we have from Dimensional Resource, and it's something that they've actually had as a result of a study that they conducted in 2013, and it indicated that 32% of solutions lack visibility insight into resource usage. You know, that's a primary concern for professional services organizations and for professional services management. So we wanted to bring that to your attention, and then also pose the question, well, then how can Replicon help with this? So let's see Replicon's latest platform. We'd like to share with you how you can get more out of professional services management here at Replicon. And we have Kishore here to be able to show you the latest functionality we have to offer you. And also at the end, again, like we said, we'll have a Q&A. So as questions come to you as Kishore begins, please do type in your questions in the Q&A panel on the right-hand side. So Kishore, I'd like to hand the floor to you.
Thank you very much for that, Stephanie. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So while we make our way to that resource management or resource allocation part of this professional services management solution of Replicon, I do want to touch upon new features and enhancements that have taken place on this new platform. So keeping in mind that there are majority of our web resource users on this call, I would like to emphasize on what are the new capabilities that have been implemented on this new platform from the usability perspective and user interface perspective. The look and feel is a lot more better. It's actually combined, the resourcing capabilities is combined with the time tracking part of Replicon modules. So you no need to log into two separate instances. It's a single solution on the same platform right now. It's a lot more pretty interface or intuitive interface for end users where data is filtered, so basically they get to see what they need to work on or enter time against with the smart filtering capabilities and the dynamic search capabilities. If you notice, there are functional menus at the top, which is all based on the role that the user is logging into the solution. So it's totally role-based permission tools that we have built in there. A lot of our web resource users do know that currently in this solution today, we do not have a client attribute to it where they are not able to tie projects or tasks or track resource utilization from a client perspective. So we have heard your questions, we have heard your feedback, and we have implemented that functionality into our professional services management solution. And here, from a client's perspective, we're first going to notice a tabular dashboard view that will show you on a high level what are the projects tied to a client, what are the comparison of hours and cost, etc. So this dashboard view shows you, are you on the right track? Are we going over budgeted for that particular client, or are we within the budget? Now, this allows you to drill down further to take you into a trend or a graphical view showing you the trend or analysis of the comparison of hours, which can be viewed even as a cost or a billing. And also we can track, by time, how many resources are working or entering time towards projects tied or associated to this particular client. Now, these views that you notice, we can change it to cost or even forecast to see what is the billing actual versus estimated billing. Also see like profitability views, that is billing versus cost from a client's perspective. And also capabilities to go to see a dashboard of projects tied to this particular client or associated to this client, and also drill down further into a project to see from a project's perspective what is the trend, or basically the comparison of hours, and then comparison of cost and billing, and also see from a project's perspective what is the profitability view and also the forecasting of billing. Now, similar to all Replicon modules, the project team section is the same, where you can add users who can specifically work on this particular project and see this project on the timesheet when it starts, to go ahead and enter time against it. But what we have added in here is the allocation calendar that allows them to basically see how much of work has been allocated to these resources. Now, the white space corresponds to their availability, and the blue one corresponds to allocated on this project. Green ones are time off taken by these users using the Replicon's time off component, and the red flag or the red indicator is basically the over allocation for that user for a date range. This view can be viewed as a percentage of allocation view or the hours view. Now, you can also use the slide bars here at the bottom to look into the future allocations on this project and also into the past. Now, keep in mind, this calendar is only for this specific project. We also have a global view, which is under the Resources tab, that shows you the user's allocation throughout, that is all projects and date range of allocations. Now, for all the web resource users there, we have still retained, or we still have the placeholder functionality that basically allows you to, add roles, or basically assign roles to these projects and allocate work to those roles and forecast to see how much the project would cost you, and also gives you capability to pick resources based on their availability and also based on skills that you need to complete this project. So similar to web resource functionality, we can go ahead and create skills and assign multiple skills to specific resources within the system, and then pick resources based on availability and also skill set that is needed to complete the project. Okay. Now, all the resource allocation calendars of the projects that you have set up in there drives a global calendar, which is under the Resources tab. So here you have a global view that shows you all resources on the left-hand side, and again, their allocations color-coded. Now, the color codes basically indicate also the status of projects. So if you notice, it indicates with dark blue and light blue colors, which basically means in progress and tentative project allocations. And you can always expand to see that user's allocation over a date range and the number of hours they've been allocated. You can, of course, mouse over to that bar to see what are the number of hours or minutes, and also the projects they've been assigned to work. Now, since this is a huge list of resources that you're going to have, we've also added filters where you can go ahead and filter it by a specific team or department or business unit, and you can also filter it down to specific skills. And you want to see on a particular project how many resources are assigned to a project and what are their allocations. You can do the same for a client. We can also sort this based on availability. So you want to see, availability of users first on your calendar view. We can also do that. Also, the placeholder resources are reported here. It's a global calendar for all placeholder resources, which allows you to basically swap placeholders with real resources. So this will take you to like a swap screen, a swap calendar, which will show you who matches or which real resource matches the requirement of a placeholder, and then swap it with the real resource. Okay. Now, we also got in centralized billing capabilities here. So this is going to allow you to kind of manage your invoices. So now the solution gives you the capability to go ahead and bill a timesheet or basically generate a timesheet to an invoice and then allows you to manage that invoice within Replicon. You can also go ahead and push the invoice out from Replicon to any financial or accounting system where you can generate a hard copy or a soft copy of this invoice to be produced to the client. And once the invoice is generated, this information is saved in Replicon so that you get to see what are the outstanding balances, or what has been billed or what needs to be billed, etc. And finally, since the module is integrated with the resourcing capabilities and the time tracking capabilities, we have come up with reports out of the box that allows you to track anything related to a resource utilization. Like, for example, shows you the resources actual available hours, that is how many hours the user was scheduled to work, how many hours the user actually worked, and what is the utilization percentage. Is he underutilized or overutilized over a particular time frame that you can generate this report for.
Hey, Kishore, while you're on reporting, we had a question come in around client-centric reporting. Is that also something that customers can take advantage of as well?
Definitely. So the view that I showed you first, looking at from a client's perspective, basically gives you, capabilities to look at in the form of a dashboard. Where you see those graphs, and you can further drill down to go to the user level from the client to a project and then to a user. You can also convert them into a text and numeric report under our reporting section. Now that I've shown you on a high level, what new capabilities have been built in, from a functional role perspective, as I mentioned, based on the role or permission the user logs into the solution, these are going to be the landing pages for them. The My Replicon page is the landing page for a typical end user. The team section is going to be the landing page for a typical supervisor or like an approver, where they have dashboards to view what is waiting for their approval, like timesheets waiting for approval or expense waiting for their approval. And again, they have dashboards to see only their team members' information. So as a supervisor, I get to see who within my team has not submitted the timesheet, whose timesheets are waiting for my approval or waiting for others' approval, etc. Now, moving on, as a billing manager or as an accountant, I also have a global view, that is a global dashboard view, shows me timesheet status of all users within the organization, that is who hasn't submitted the timesheet, whose timesheets are waiting for approvals, etc. And this can be filtered based on the status. You can actually go ahead and override the actual approver. If the approver is not able to approve this timesheet on time, you can override the actual approver and push this into the accounting system or generate an invoice for this particular timesheet. So just to summarize here, what we have shown you today, the professional services management solution is basically going to automate your manual processes that you're using today, that is tracking resource utilization through Excel or planning your projects using Excel. That's the way of automating the solution, that is combined along with the time tracking. You're not going to be using two separate solutions or no manual entries needed within Replicon PSM solution. Easy to use timesheets, as the timesheet interface has gotten more intuitive now. It's only going to spend, the end user is only going to spend about not more than 5 to 10 seconds, that is logging into the solution, selecting the appropriate project, and entering time against it. So the target or the aim here was to make sure the end user does not spend too much of time logging into the Replicon solution and then finding the project that is needed and entering time against it. So it's become more intuitive now. This kind of avoids errors. There is no scope of errors on the timesheet anymore. End user reporting, we have tried to kind of bubble up all the data on our interface itself through dashboards. So the dashboard views that I showed you reduces the dependency for you to go into Replicon reporting section and generate the reports. Of course, the reports are available, but we have tried as much as possible to provide all the data that you need in the dashboard views. And integrated expense management, yes, again, based on the person or the role who's logging into the solution, there is the timesheet tab and the expense tab for the end user to go ahead and submit time separately and submit an expense report separately, along with uploading the expense receipts. So we can, upload any format of expense receipts using these, these scanned copies, or even taking pictures of receipts using their smartphones and uploading directly from our smartphone applications. So Replicon has native iPhone and Android applications available with the standard product, where you can upload the receipts or enter time through smartphones directly. And unified resource calendar. So it's a very good view. You're getting the visibility into how much of work has been allocated to resources. Are they sick, or are they on vacation? Are they getting over allocated? Basically putting them onto different projects. And then you can also forecast to see, based on the number of hours allocated to them into the future, how much would the project cost you, and how much you're going to be billing to the client. So you can basically see the estimates into the future. Real-time analytics, project profitability. Now, for our legacy users, if you've noticed, all these analytics, you would actually need to generate reports and basically put in your columns and create formulas to do that. But here, if you notice, the dashboard views that I showed you gives you information from a high level, where you can drill down to get into the most granular detail that you need regarding a project profitability information, and also you want to see if the project is within the budget or over budgeted. And streamlined billing management capabilities. It allows you now to go ahead and summarize your billing. So basically, see a billing summary of a client or a project to see if there is any outstanding billing, if there are any outstanding timesheets that needs to be billed, and also manage your invoices, create invoices directly here and manage it. But however, we still need to push that into an accounting system or a financial system to generate a hard or a soft copy of that invoice.
So Kishore, I am seeing a few questions come up. Here's one, actually was around reporting, and wanted to see if we could start with that. Can we report on a weekly basis as well as actual versus forecast estimated?
Definitely. So there are three views, if you've noticed, on the dashboard that I've shown you. We have daily, we have weekly, and monthly and quarterly, 4 views.
Okay, excellent. Another question here, where is the input done for resource projections into future months?
So that is done while you're actually setting up a project. So the project resource allocation calendar that I showed you allows you to go ahead and pick a resource, add them to the project, and all the calendars select the dates that you want to allocate work. That could be a future date or the present date, and then allocate work either in terms of hours or percentage.
Okay. Here's another question. Do you have a module that integrates project plans with resource management and billing?
Definitely, yes. So we have out-of-the-box seamless integration with MSP as of today, but we have a very flexible and an open-ended API that allows you to interact with anything.
Okay. If a user is not a resource for a project, can they still add hours to that project?
No, if the resource is not part of the project team, the project is not going to be visible for him or her to enter time on the timesheet. He needs to be a part of the project team. Okay.
There's another question here. What would be some best practices for using resource utilization to understand where employees have excess capacity and hiring needs?
Good question. So this is where our placeholder functionality comes into picture. Based on resources availability, that there is too much of workload on resources. You cannot go ahead and add them to new projects. You basically need more resources to be hired into the organization. You can go ahead and specify placeholders or roles that are needed to be working on those projects, and those calendar views, basically the placeholder calendars, can be given access to the HR team or the people who need to recruit consultants or employees into the organization.
We also have a question now about an expense report. Kishore, can you show printing out an expense report with a scanned or picture captured receipt?
That's a good question. So we can definitely print expense reports straight out of the box, but we need to print the expense report separately and the receipt separately. Now, you cannot print both together as a report. We can print them separately out if you need.
Okay. Another question here, question about forecasting resourcing for future projects and availability and whether or not this particular attendee had missed that, or if you could cover that in summary again.
Sure. I would need to go back to show you those views, but we can have a follow-up if needed. This is the same question that was asked previously. How do we do basically forecasting? So as I mentioned, you can assign resources to a project based on availability, and once added on the calendar, you can go ahead and allocate work for a future date range. So that is how you can forecast to see how much would the user cost to the project based on the number of hours allocated, and how much would the project cost you.
Okay. And looks like we have one last question around that printing of the receipt. Kishore, who does the printing out of the receipt?
So there are, again, permissions or roles that you can define who can do that in the system. You can give permissions for end users if you want the end users to do it, or it could be done at the approval level. If the approver is approving it, he wants to print the receipt and the report, that can be done, or basically the last level, that is the administrator or the billing manager who can do that. It's all controlled within the permissions.
Okay. Another question here, Kishore. With resource management, does this allow for entry of unique skill sets and expertise for each employee?
Oh, definitely. If you've noticed on the calendars that I showed you, there are filters that allows you to filter it based on specific skill set that you need. These skill sets can be assigned to users within the Replicon solution, and there can be multiple skill sets assigned to a particular user. So, when you're planning a project, you can use the skills filters accordingly.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, Kishore. And there are a few other questions, and we will need to, at this point, follow up with you on them individually. Wanted to just conclude by asking you to visit a few different areas if you'd like to learn more information. The first one is if you actually have professional services management from Replicon and would like to attend an implementation webinar. We have actually two coming up on December 10th and December 17th. You can find more information about them and can register at replicon.com/implementation-webinars. Also, to learn more about Replicon Professional Services Management, you can go to our website, which is replicon.com/professional-services-business. Or you could obviously contact your account manager or sales@replicon.com. So, again, all attendees, you'll receive a webinar thanking you for attending with a link to the recording, so you will have a recording of this. This should come out in a day or two. And, again, we will also be following up with all of your questions that we didn't have time to answer. So thank you so much for attending.